It is our pleasure to welcome Dr. Richard Chaifetz. It's a distinct honor to have him here in the Department of Psychology. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to address the students, the faculty, and staff in the Department of Psychology. Dr. Chaifetz is no stranger to St. Louis University, having been an undergraduate here in the Department of Psychology. His major was in psychology. Since that time, Dr. Chaifetz has had a very successful career and has many accolades and honors, too many to list here. His bio sketch is presented below in the newsletter. We'd like to take this opportunity, however, to thank Dr. Chaifetz for his contributions to St. Louis University, in particular to the beautiful St. Louis University Arena, which bears his name, the Chaifetz Arena. So, welcome.
Thanks.
Once again. And first question is, Dr. Chaifetz, could you elaborate a little bit to our viewers, what is ComPsych Corporation?
Okay, well, first of all, thanks for having me here. It's quite an honor to come back after all these years. ComPsych Corporation is the world's largest provider of employee assistance programs. Essentially, what employee assistance programs do is help employees with personal issues, be them psychological, financial, legal, or any other kinds of problems that people have in living. And the reasons companies buy these programs is to help their employees remain distraction-free and focused on the job, so their performance and attendance is at a maximal level. We also do outsourced HR services, like management of FMLA management, and we're the world's largest provider also of legal information to corporate America, to the employees of corporate America. So that's what we do.
Dr. Chaifetz is currently the chairman and CEO of, as we said, ComPsych Corporation. Could you kind of retrace the steps that led you to this particular position?
Well, you know, when I came to St. Louis University, I majored in psychology and pre-med, and I wasn't sure whether I wanted to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But after making the decision to be a psychologist, I pursued graduate school and got a PsyD degree. When I got out, I knew I just didn't want to be in private practice. I had bigger ambitions than just seeing patients, you know, on a regular basis. So I started a business called Comprehensive Psychological Centers that essentially opened psychological centers throughout the city of Chicago. And we provided services to the general public, and I also had 10 or 12 different hospitals that we hospitalized patients in and provided a variety of services to adolescents and adults in substance abuse or a variety of other areas that were at that time needed for people. That grew quite rapidly, and after 5 or 6 years I had about 15 centers, about 280 doctors working for me. And by doctors I mean psychologists, psychiatrists, and also we had social workers and a variety of other mental health professionals. And fortunately or unfortunately, the economy and the market began to change. And I saw in the handwriting on the wall when indemnity insurance, which is the way people got paid for their services then, through an insurance kind of mechanism, began to change into HMO model. And we all remember what that was like back in the early 80s. That was the trend, and that was a prepaid model. And I said to myself, look, if I don't change what I'm doing on some level, I'm going to either be working for a managed care company or I'm going to be sweeping the streets, because one or the other is not going to be a good outcome for me. So I said to myself, who in the future is going to control the dollars relative to mental health and psychological services in the future? Well, one was very easy to pinpoint, and that was the government. 2 was managed care companies, because that's what was going on. And 3 was independent organizations, companies themselves. I said to myself, look, I don't want to do business with the government necessarily. And that's ironic, because I do now do business with the government. We'll get back to that. I didn't want to do business with managed care companies, because that's going from the frying pan into the fire. So I said, let's start to contract directly with corporations. And at that time, employee assistance programs were in a rudimentary stage. They typically had recovering people in-house at the organization providing support and guidance to the employees who may have had substance abuse problems. But I saw a bigger opportunity. As we know, substance abuse in and of itself doesn't stop with just substance abuse relative to the problems that people have. It impacts their family. They typically have psychological issues, there's financial issues, legal issues, a variety of other things that go on. I said to myself, if we could provide services to a corporation that encompasses all those things and treats the entire individual, those people are going to be more productive and perform better at work, and it's going to be a big hit. So we started out small, contracted with a few entities close by in Chicago. The first entity was the village of Skokie. It's a small town that people may or may not have heard of. Had 200 employees. That was my first client, so to speak. And then it morphed into going after bigger companies. And our first large company was a company called American National Can. That became Pechenay and Alcan. And that allowed us then to provide services throughout the U.S. because they had employees spread all over the U.S. And from there it just grew. And today we provide services, as I said, way beyond the traditional employee assistance program. We have elder care and child care and work life and legal services and financial services and outsourced HR services, all to help employees manage their personal lives so they're more productive at work. Today we cover 35 million people, 13,000 organizations in 112 countries all over the world. So it's been an interesting ride and very different from what it was when I first started.
Sure. So what advice can you give students with respect to choice of careers and preparation for a career path?
Well, the first thing I say to anybody, and this may sound trite, make sure you pick something you are incredibly passionate about. I loved psychology. I was passionate about it, and when I went to graduate school, I wanted nothing more than to be the best psychologist I could be. And if you take the attitude that whatever you do, and you're passionate about it, you're going to be the best you could be, then you will succeed. Now, with one caveat, you got to make sure and decide whether money is important or not important. Because you could be the best social worker in the world, and if you work at a community mental health center, you're not going to make a lot of money. So if you want to make money, then you got to marry the psychological training that you get here with a career vis-a-vis related to psychology or a tangentially related component of psychology into something that may allow you to make the kind of money you want to make. I think people make mistakes where they follow their passion and they're not connected to the economic components that either derive from that or don't derive from that. If you're truly clear in your career aspirations, you got to have both to be successful, I believe. One without the other. Pursuing only money will lead to failure. Pursuing your passion, if you want to make money, will lead to disappointment.
Thank you. Kind of a related question, what are the qualities or attributes which you would encourage in students in following their path, professional path?
Unrelenting commitment, hard work, and absolute integrity in everything you do. If you follow those three tenets and have a passion and commitment to what you want to do, you'll be successful. I think, unfortunately, people compromise one or some or all of those things at some point in their career. And if you stay true to those principles, that's extremely important. But hard work is very important. And I think it's gotten a little skewed today because of, well, go back to the internet bubble where people are making hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars overnight with what I perceive to be useless businesses that most of them turned out to be useless. And we still have a little bit of that mentality coming back. You have a lot of young people pursuing what they perceive to be instantaneous wealth options. And those are few and far between. There's very few Mark Cubans who find a broadcast.com and sell it for $5.5 billion and it's worth really $30,000. You got to really work hard. You got to really pursue the goals, and if you do that, you'll be successful, regardless of what your desired goal is.
Great, thank you. Would you comment on one or two notable experiences during your time here at St. Louis University that may have influenced you professionally or personally?
Sure. That's an easy one for me. And those of you who know my story, I'm sorry if I'm repeating it, but it clearly answers the question. When I was a second semester freshman, my parents were divorced, and unbeknownst to me, my tuition was not paid by my father. I hadn't been in contact with him for quite a long time. He had promised me he'd pay the tuition, but not being in contact with him, not knowing what was going on, I assumed it was taken care of. Well, I got a call from the bursar's office, and they called me down, you know, and whenever they call you Mr. Chaifetz when you're a student, you know you're in trouble. It's not good, you know, so they called me down, and they said to me, I got to go meet with the president because my tuition hasn't been paid. And being as naive as I was, I thought they meant the president of the United States. And then they meant the president of the university, and they corrected me. I said, okay, that's a little better. So I went to see Father Reinhardt, who was the president at the time, and he was a very tall, stoic Jesuit priest that I had never met in my life. And I went to see him, and I was very committed to school. I was getting straight A's, and I was on a plan. I knew what I wanted to do, and academic accomplishments and achievement were the most important thing to me, because I had nothing else. I mean, if I failed in school and I was out, I'm done. So I went to see him, and I explained my story. I said, look, you know, I'm a straight A student. I'm committed to St. Louis University. I came from New York all the way here. You know, it was recommended to me from the headmaster of the school I went to, and I want to do well. And, you know, I'm in a dilemma. You know, I can't find my father, and I can't pay my tuition. And I said, look, I promise you, Father Reinhardt, that whatever you do, if you let me stay, I will pay you back the money, and I will pay back the school in some fashion, in a big way, when I'm successful, because I will be successful. And he sat there for a few minutes, and I was getting nervous. You know, the longer we sat, the more I thought the answer would be good. And he said, Rich, I'll tell you what, you know, I believe in you. I really believe in you. And you know what, you stay as long as you need to, and don't worry about your tuition, because it's on us, and you'll pay when you can. And I didn't look for a free ride. I paid my tuition. I worked that summer, and I worked out a deal with my father, and I paid my tuition. And then, of course, I paid the university back in a way that was important to me, because when I came here and went here, my only social life was sports. I didn't have any money, so I'd go to see the hockey and the soccer and the basketball games all the time. I'd take dates, you know, I was cheap. I'd take them. That's all I would do, go home. But that's what I would do, and it was a big part of my life, and it was important to me. So when I saw the opportunity to make a donation to the university in a sports-related area, that was the big impetus for me. So that's the thing that stands out.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. Are there any closing thoughts that you would like to convey to our students?
Well, I got to tell you, you know, when I came to St. Louis University from New York, a lot of people never heard of St. Louis University. And I think it is a gem that is really still not widely known. And my goal, if anything, is to get the name and reputation of St. Louis University out. Whenever I have a chance to talk to people, I believe I got the best education you can get at St. Louis University. It's academically driven. It's a serious institution. I think they have great professors here, and it's all about education. It's not about fun and games and partying, though we had our fun here. Believe me, I was on the verge of getting thrown out a few times. I mean, I was on the borderline. I did crazy stuff. But it was a great academic situation here for me, and I want to tell people here that, you know, study hard and listen to your professors and pay attention to what you do in a class, because you'll come back and you'll get rewarded many times over, whether you pursue graduate school, your careers, or whatever, because this will be a skill set and a knowledge base that is second to none when you leave here.
Well, again, thank you for your support of St. Louis University and for being with us today. Your success is a model and an inspiration for all aspiring students of psychology.
Thank you. Thanks again.